Okay, so, anyways, I was speaking to my own personal experience that I was having with people out in public. And so that's kind of where the story came from. The narrative was modeled after Carrie, which is a movie that starts out as a drama with some comedic elements to it that evolves into a thriller that evolves into horror at the end. So it was never meant to be horror from the first minute in. It was supposed to be this impending doom, this growth of suppression, and then violent release, I guess. So Carrie was the inspiration for the structure of the story. We filmed for, I want to say, 6 days in September, and we didn't get everything done. So we ended up having to come back, I believe, another 4 days in October and finish it off. Jeff Dillingham had to leave to go do another project, but then I believe he came back to finish up his parts. Editing took like another 9 months to a year. I do remember that at the end, the theatrical premiere date was September 25th of 2005, and I was biting my nails because the editing wasn't completed and the date was approaching. And I want to say I got literally the final cut on a DVD, one single DVD, to use at the premiere the day before. And it was like late in the afternoon. So I didn't know if I was even going to have a movie to show all of these people that were coming to attend the premiere. The movie turned out great. I got a standing ovation. It was my first, what I considered really truly professional film, and fictional film, because again, I'd done Something to Scream About a year earlier, but this was my first fiction story. And the reaction that I got to it was amazing. And then I was going to conventions and people were coming up and it was selling well. And I know that there were people who hated it. They thought it was an exaggeration of the gay life culture, of the gay life, or the gay culture. There were people who thought it was cheap because, Moby spent $14,000 on it, so you get what you pay for, right? I thought we did a good job. I was signing autographs, and we got a lot of magazine coverage. I was asked to appear on a talk show called On Q Live, which was a live program for the I think it was called the Q Network or On Q Network, something like that. It's a network that's long gone, but so the reaction was really phenomenal. We were getting really good reviews. People seemed to enjoy it. It got the nickname of Gadel Attraction, which I admired. Somebody tried was going to make a porn. I don't know if they ever did. They threatened to make a porn called October Poon. Well, it was delightful. There were October Moon viewing parties every Halloween for years. I know there was one in Los Angeles. There was one in Australia. I believe there was one somewhere in the East. I'm trying to remember which state it was in. Yeah, it's not, that's lost. I've lost my mind on that one, but it gained a following very quickly. So, I got the first fan letter that I got from somebody, and it was a physical written letter, was from a gentleman in Texas, and it was like 2 or 3 pages long. And he told me that the movie spoke his truth. He felt like it had been written about his true life experiences, and that he came out to his family because of October Moon. He had made the decision that it was time, and he wanted to share that with me. And then I got another letter that was similar, and then I got another letter that was similar. So while I know that there are people out there that think the movie is just this cheap B movie that doesn't move fast enough, or isn't gory enough, or isn't ironically gay enough for some people, because we didn't get lewd and all sexual with it, it still spoke to a heavy audience. I don't know if heavy is the right word. It still spoke to a healthy group of people. And I'm so glad that 15 years on, I don't really get handwritten letters anymore, but I do get a lot of Facebook, and people tweet at me. So I know that it's still out there and people are still enjoying it, and that means the world to me. And I think the cast too. So on to October Moon 2. So why did I make October Moon 2 November Sun? I got ahead of myself, would be the answer for that. And there were multiple reasons that I did it. First and foremost was October Moon came out and it was a big success for Tempe Entertainment. It had made back all of its money the day it came out. Later on down the line, I unfortunately learned that Tempe's distributor, which I believe was Ventura, and that's who would get it into all of the retailers, although they had made a bunch of money off of it, they were going bankrupt with all of their other titles, and they shut up shop, and I was getting nothing. So literally, I got almost none of all of this money that the movie had made. So I found that out in the middle of October Moon 2, which is a crusher, but you're like, well, October Moon clearly though was a popular title, so we're just going to keep moving forward. And the main set for October Moon was an apartment that I was living in. So I was now moving out because I had partnered up with Michael John Isaacson and we had purchased a home. And I wanted the apartment from the first film to be a part of the story for the second film. So I had to rapidly get the script done, make sure all of the cast wanted to return, and hire the new cast and crew. And so it all happened very rapidly. I want to say I got the money for October Moon 2 in late May and hadn't finished the script. It actually started off as a slasher script, which was not appropriate to the first film. So I had to toss that script out, rewrite a whole brand new script, bring everybody in, and we were filming by early July. So it was, again, a matter of like 6 weeks, maybe, from the point that I got the money to the point that everybody was on set. It was a quicker shoot, but with longer days. We were shooting 17, 20-hour days to try and get it done. I lost Debbie Rochon at the airport down in Chicago when she was coming in. We couldn't find her. We had tornadoes come through the area that shut us down. It was the energy on October Moon 2 was very different from the first one. Some cast members weren't getting along, some crew weren't getting along. It wasn't like we were having these big breakout fights, but it was just, there was a tension on the sequel that had not been there on the original. So looking back in hindsight, I probably would not have made it. I don't know that it was as true to the original film as I'd wanted it to be. It was a true sequel in the sense that we were taking all of these same characters and just placing them into a new story. But instead of using oranges and reds and yellows like I'd used in the original film, I was now using blues and grays and whites to kind of set a more depressed, cold atmosphere. So it feels like an entirely different film. And while it was intentional at the time, I again don't know if I would go back and do that now. We got through filming we had a lot of great experiences too, so I should not make it out like October Moon 2 was this big, depressing, horrid shoot. It was more stressful and it had a different feel, but you know, at the end of the day, we all still, I think, were proud of what we had done. I chose, when I was casting October Moon 2, I wanted to hire Sasha Sackett because I wanted to have a singer. And I'd seen him in a magazine article that was right below one that was written about October Moon. And I was like, who is this beautiful man? He's gorgeous. And then I heard his music and I was like, oh my God, listen to that voice. And then again, this is going back to October Moon. So I hired him to do some music for October Moon and then went to see him in concert. And I was like, this man is gorgeous. He can sing. I realized in some article that he was also an actor. So I'm like, bing, bing, bing. So I hired him for the movie. We brought in Debbie Rochon, who's a famous scream queen. I think she's been in like 300 films at this point. I brought in Robin Griggs from One Life to Live and Another World, and she was kind of starting to do a scream queen thing at that point in time. And then I brought everybody back, and I think our one thing that we can claim is that we have a sequel where literally every single actor came back. No matter if they had died or not in the original movie, if they were a minor character in the original movie, everybody returned. So I knew that we were kind of unique in that sense as well. So I don't know, I think overall, when you look at the movie, I think it's still a good story. There are people who love October Moon 2, November Sun. and there are people, and those same people don't necessarily like October Moon as much. And in reverse, there are people who adore October Moon but don't like part two. So it's this weird juxtaposition, and I don't know that there's much of a gray space in between. It's an either or. So I'm not sure if I just made part two that different from the first one, but that's just kind of the fan response that I get to the sequel. Okay, test screening. So I should talk about the test screening for October Moon 2, November Sun, which was not a great experience. So it was July of 2007. We were 1 year after production, and we showed it at the Chicago Flashback Weekend of Horror. And I will say I don't know that the audience for Flashback was ready to see this movie, because I had put posters out for the movie, which at that point was simply just called November Sun. And as I put them down and walked away, I saw a girl pick it up, and I heard her say, "Oh my God, they're making," it was like, "Jesus, now they're making horror movies for gay people? Like, gay people need horror movies." And she was really sarcastic about it. And she and her group of friends chuckled and kind of tossed the posters back onto the table. And I was like, uh-oh, we might be in some trouble here. So we sat down in the theater, and it premieres to these people that I don't know, so they're giving me a genuine reaction. I had several people get up and walk out. I remember one man was disgusted because it was right after a scene where two male characters had kissed, and he said, "That's disgusting," and he walked out. So it's funny, he can handle watching people get their guts ripped out and splattered all over the floor, but to watch two gay men kiss was like the most horrific thing he'd ever seen in his life. I had a questionnaire out. People gave their opinions. They thought it was not moving fast enough. They didn't like the way that the gay story was being told, that it was very one-sided. So what I ended up doing was grabbing the actors, rewriting the end of the script. We altered a lot of things, and so I think we did, oh gosh, probably almost a week's worth of reshoots. A lot of it was with Tina Unapax-Dallas. There might have been some stuff with Sasha. I can't remember. So we altered it. I thought that the final outcome was much better. We did another test screening. It did much better that time, so it seemed to appease the audience in the second screening, and that's the cut that we've got. Now the problem that I faced. So because I let too many people get inside my ears, they felt that because, and these are people outside of the process, said, you had such great success with October Moon, and Tempe is such a small company. Why would you go back to Tempe when you can take your sequel and go to a bigger company and get bigger exposure and make more money? And I was like, well, okay, yeah, I guess we want to make more money. I got a lot more money to pay back because my $14,000 part two ended up being a $35,000 part two, and now I really had to make money back. So I put it out through Aristocal, and they didn't know what to do with it. Apparently, it had horrible artwork. They promoted it as a standalone film. They kind of forgot the fact that it was a sequel. It was just called November Sun, so nobody really knew that a part two had come out. I saw really very few advertisements for it. There wasn't much publicity for it. And then I could tell that it was making some money because you would see reviews popping up like on IMDb and other places. So you knew that some people were seeing it, but then I wasn't getting any money from it. So in comparison to the first film and how much money that one had made, I thought something's just not right. I wound up getting the movie back in 2010 from Aristocal, so they'd had it for maybe 2 years, and put it back out through Tempe, but by then the damage was done. We retitled it October Moon 2, November Sun, gave it all new artwork, and we got zero publicity. Nobody covered it. It was kind of like a once and done. Once you've gotten your publicity, you're not getting it again. So it was all kind of a very rough experience because October Moon overall had been so joyful from start to finish. And October Moon 2 just was not the same experience that I'd gotten with the first film. So I was kind of let down, and decided that if I was going to do an October Moon 3, it wouldn't take place for about 10 years. I didn't want to hire somebody and advance the years. I don't like when movies jump ahead like that. I wanted to keep it in more real time. So I thought somewhere around 2015, 2016 will make a part 3. It is now 2020, and I have not made it. If it ever does see the light of day, because there is a script in the works, it would follow Elliot's child with Marty, and that was revealed in the sequel, and kind of his experiences and what's happening now with this generation. So I'm hoping that I can make October Moon 3. I hope that it's more of an experience like the first film was. I know that a lot of you keep asking me when I'm going to make it. I know that a lot of you keep asking me about that damn subtitle, because it was October Moon, November Sun, December. I do know what the is. I'm not telling you yet. You'll have to wait for the movie to come out. But please keep forwarding me all your thoughts on what you think I should title it, or just do the guessing game. I'm still not going to say yes or no as to what the accurate title is, but y'all keep sending me your messages, and I enjoy it. I enjoy that people love the movie, the first movie that much, or even the second movie that much, that they care enough that I would maybe do an October Moon 3 someday. Explaining movie to Tempe. Like that. Just checking my list of questions. Okay, so last one. So what is the legacy of October Moon 1 and 2? The legacy of October Moon Part 1 is it was battling to be the first gay horror movie, where it respected its characters, and the gay characters were front and center. And yes, I'd like to make a movie with gay characters where their sexuality has nothing to do with the plot, but that was the plot of October Moon, and nobody else had done that up to that point in a positive way. And so I think that is its legacy. Is it was a gay horror film when none of them existed as fully gay horror films, with lead characters who were gay and were dealing with a specifically gay experience of coming out and falling in love and not getting that love back. I had designed it to be something that taught people. It taught gay people how to treat each other. It taught straight people how we felt we were being objectified or categorized. I think October Moon's legacy is that it sticks to creating a new way that gay characters could appear on screen, and a viewer at home could look at that and say, hey, that's me. So I think that is the first film's legacy. The legacy of the second film is just that it became the first gay horror franchise in history, because Hellbent never had a part 2. So screw you, Hellbent. So we were the first gay horror series, and nobody can take that away from us. I think the legacy of part 2 is that it still spoke to gay kids with depression, because that's what a lot of October Moon 2 was about. It was about depression and how you just kind of get through life when you feel like the world's coming down on you. So it had a troubled protagonist, and it had the troubled survivors of the first film dealing with their responsibility in their actions that had led to how the first film ended, and them all trying to make amends to that. I try to give my stories a little more depth than the average B movie, because I want people to feel something and learn something and understand something after they're done watching them. And I think maybe that is the legacy of the so far 2 October Moon films.